This is the Fruble Lite, a self-leveling sleeping platform that transforms the Tesla Model Y with massive hidden storage. But instead of a boring studio unboxing, I brought it out to the Scottish wilderness to show you the reality of actually living with it. I'm going to show you the ultimate camp kitchen setup, the one unexpected flaw you need to watch out for, and then I'm going to rip the entire thing out of the car. I'll show you exactly how to rebuild it from scratch and reveal the mistakes I made so you can install yours in half the time. Let's start with an easy example: breakfast. With the Fruble Lite, you've basically got your very own mobile breakfast bar. The slide out drawer stashes all of your cooking, cleaning and snacking essentials, while the piano hinge lid gives you instant access to the sub-trunk fridge. And that flat worktop? It makes prepping meals or organising your kit an absolute breeze. Plus, you still have a place to sit, eat and clean up with everything right in front of you. I'm using this mainly as a kitchen with extra storage, but you could use it for anything: clothes, accessories, or just a giant snack drawer. What I really love about this design is the clearance. I've got a 35 litre custom fit fridge in the sub-trunk, and it can open and close with just a few millimeters of clearance right over the slide out drawer. But the drawer does have its limitations. Currently, my preferred cooking method is a cheap single gas burner. But when I place it in the drawer and slide it shut, it just catches the lid on the Fruble Lite. I can squish it in, but one side of the lid ends up sitting higher than the other. However, it's not a complete disaster. This camper kit actually features massive hidden storage compartments in the back, under the platform. It's the perfect spot to stash the burner and any other gear that won't fit in the main drawer. Because it was a windy day out here, I decided to switch things up, cook with my induction hob, and test out the Fruble Lite's weight-bearing abilities. Induction hobs are typically low profile, so they fit easily in the drawer. There's plenty of space to fit a double burner or more, so you could have massive cookouts on this slide out alone. The worktop is also the perfect spot for your power station. Even if you need to lift the lid to access the fridge, the drawer takes the full weight of my Jackery power station without any complaints. This has to be one of the most enjoyable parts of Tesla camping. Getting to cook outside in nature and being rewarded with a tasty hot meal with views that beat any dining room. But this camper kit is far from perfect. Because it's made of plywood, which is obviously a natural material, combined with the heat of the Model Y cabin and any weight on top of this surface, it's actually caused this section to bow. And what that means is that this piece of wood is no longer entirely flat. It's slightly lower in the middle compared to the left and right. So when we first set it up, the drawer slid perfectly. But after a couple of days of it sitting in the cabin, and then that camping trip we went on recently with Alfie in the back, I've noticed today that the drawer has been catching this piece of wood. So the really easy fix is just to adjust those magnetic catches. There's two magnetic blocks on either side. All I've done is I've loosened them, raised them slightly, and then tightened them again. This has ended up raising the left and right section. We can see that it closes perfectly flush. And a slightly longer term solution is to actually remove this piano hinge, flip this section upside down. It already comes pre-drilled with those 36 holes, and then pop the piano hinge back on again. What it means is that when it bows, it's going to naturally even out again, and it should be stable for a lot longer. Getting the bed ready is pretty simple. Slot the flat pack pieces together to build the front extension, fold the seats down, pop the extension in place, and lay the rear trunk covers on top. A quick spirit level check confirms we've got a perfectly flat and level base. But to see if we're actually getting a 0 degree sleep, let's get a mattress inflated. I'm starting with the Exped MegaMat Auto. Since it's a universal car camping mattress, it gives us a perfect baseline. By the way, if you want to see a brutal head-to-head showdown between this Exped and the other top Tesla mattresses, make sure you click the card on screen, or at the end of the video. The raised, flat worktop actually makes manually inflating the mattress so much easier. And because the front extension bridges that footwell gap, I can push the Exped fully forward to maximise legroom. Even without a level, you can see how perfectly flat this looks. But sliding onto it, it feels even better. Whether I'm on my back or side, it is totally flat. To prove it, here are the actual spirit level readings from head to torso to toes. The only potential downside is the head area. The centre is stable, but the sides, not so much. If you have 2 people, it evens out, and if you're solo, you can just sleep in the middle. But if you want a permanent fix, an inexpensive headrest support bridge will give you that extra stability. Now, time to test out my personal favourite, the Snuuzu. I love hanging out and sitting at the bottom of the Snuuzu, and thankfully with the Fruble Lite, that's still possible. But when I lay down, you can see the geometry changes. I'm lying at a slightly downward angle. From the side profile, that raised head area is much more noticeable. The trade-off is that the Snuuzu is much more stable at the edges. And when I sleep on my back or side, the mattress perfectly contours to my body. The head area sinks down nicely under my weight, making it feel much more level. The torso section stays completely flat, and the feet area just angles down a slight 3 to 4 degrees, which I barely even notice. Now, you're probably thinking this thing must be a total nightmare to set up. Well, to prove how simple the engineering actually is, I decided to rip out the entire unit right here in the wild. But classic Scottish weather decided to turn, so time was not on my side. And when I say I'm breaking it down, I mean every single screw. The kit arrives fully flat packed. Every piece of wood is letter coded and all the hardware is included. You can get by with a manual screwdriver, which I used the first time. But to beat the rain today, I'm using my power drill on a low clutch setting. I highly recommend this if you know what you're doing. First up is the drawer base. The pilot holes are pre-drilled, so you just line up the sides, drive the screws halfway to keep things adjustable, and then tighten them down. But in my rush against the weather, I immediately made my first mistake. This section that protrudes here, this section is clean. You want the protruding section to be facing the front of the drawer and the straight side to be facing the back. This is really important because these are going to have to join together. So that's one thing that could catch you out. Mistake number 2 happened right after. When slotting the front of the drawer into place, I didn't leave enough room for the angled brackets to spin. The trick is to only half slot the front piece, get the brackets in place, and then tighten it so it pulls everything together nicely. Next up, the outer frame and locking sliders. You just match the sliders to the frame, making sure the handles bend downward, and screw them in from top to bottom. Once the drawer is built, we loosely attach the magnet locks to the frame. slide out the ball bearings, and snap the frame right onto the drawer. Which leads to mistake number 3. I completely forgot to screw the back of the drawer to the sides. Luckily, this kit is super forgiving. There's not much you can mess up that can't be fixed later. I just slid the frame off, dropped in a long screw, and then realised I forgot the other side too. Now for the top deck. You lock the main platform and the piano hinge piece together. This requires driving 36 tiny screws, which is exactly where the power drill saves the day. 5 minutes of work versus a manual nightmare. Once the flat metal brackets are stuck on and screwed in, you can make the final magnet adjustments. Because of our slightly bowed wood lid, I had to raise the magnets just a bit higher so the drawer opens and closes smoothly without snagging. The final job is attaching this awkward rear support piece. And I'll be honest, this is the hardest step. I ended up spinning the entire platform 180 degrees, hanging it out the back of the Tesla just to reach the final 2 screws without tipping it over. If there's a smarter way to do this, please let me know in the comments. But that's the hard bit done. The Fruble Lite is actually incredibly light. It lifts easily and slots snugly into the rear of the Model Y. The main slide-out drawer can even store all of the flat pack pieces for the front bed extension. And if you're worried about losing access to your deep sub-trunk, don't be. You can simply slide the entire drawer all the way out and you have unrestricted access to the space. When I first looked at the Fruble Lite online, it looked like a solid sleeping platform that solved some storage problems, but I wasn't entirely sure about the price point. But after using it for both family camping and solo wild camping, I can honestly say it has exceeded my expectations. I wasn't prepared for just how convenient this makes Tesla camping. It solves 2 massive problems instantly: level sleep and organisation. But it's the small yet powerful convenience of being able to store so many essentials in one fast access place that makes this platform my favourite setup to date. And don't forget to use the code THEGREENS for 10% off this Tesla camper kit and any camper kits at fruble.co. But if this specific drawer system is a bit out of your budget and you just want an ultra lightweight sleeping platform, check out the video over here where I test out the Fruble Ultra Lite. I'll see you over there.